Welcome back to this week's episode of Hotter Than Health. My name is Eliza Gelman, and it's a solo episode. Y'all have been devouring the solo episodes, so we're just going to keep the ball rolling. It's also incredibly fitting that I'm traveling right now and don't have any guests. I'm sitting in a hotel room. If this is your first time listening to the Hotter Than Health podcast, welcome. Thank you for being here. We have a mini episode, solo episode, where me, gonna give you tips and tricks and real life applicable situations for all things health, wellness, nutrition, fitness. And this episode specifically is based around traveling while you working and traveling. I think of course, a lot of travel in the past couple of years has been reduced if you used to travel for work more. After the pandemic, I know people are traveling a bit less, or they've figured out different routes. Also, elephant in the room that is not sitting on my chest right now. I know that it sounds like I don't have a voice. And in Bermuda, where I was last week, the most amazing, beautiful wedding I've ever been to. Congratulations, Abigail and Ace. My best friend got married. It just is great. But we were out super late a bunch of nights, and y'all know that I'm sensitive, and this girl's got no voice. Either way, I'm fully aware, and I appreciate you all just bearing with me here. But what we're doing is talking about what are some of the tactics that you can instill into traveling while you work. And in the past, I've done episodes and touched on this, and we've spoken about creating healthy habits while you travel and creating a healthy morning routine while you travel. While we will touch on that briefly, I do think it's important to also talk about specific meals that might help you stay energized and reduce the amount of potential bloat and discomfort that comes along with irregular schedules, eating, and especially flying and travel, water retention, sodium retention, and all of these different things. Let's paint a picture. Right now I'm sitting in a town called Danville, Illinois. And I don't know if it's Illinois or Indiana because I'm on the border. And when I tell you that I am on the border of Indiana and Indianapolis, the hotel that we're staying at, there's a lobby and a breakfast area. They are the entire downstairs width of this hotel is approximately 100 feet. It's small. Now, if you walk into the breakfast nook of this hotel, you are in Eastern Standard Time, 1 hour ahead. If you walk into the lobby of this hotel, you are in Central Standard Time in Illinois, meaning that unless I'm looking at the clock in my room, I am screwed, and I will show up 2-hour session in the morning at an hour late. It is the funniest, most Midwest thing, and not just Midwest, but a little bit Midwest. It is the funniest situation. And what I have noticed is that I had no idea how deep in the middle of the Midwest, how they operate. And I'm not talking about Chicago, because Chicago is a big city. There's tons of restaurants and there's gyms and there's different life happening. We are in a town, like they don't have a Starbucks. They don't have which I'm not saying, oh, they need a Starbucks. I'm not going to go to Starbucks, but even the tiniest towns have a Starbucks. And we all know this. Like the tiniest towns even have a Starbucks, or they'll have a Chick-fil-A or something. This town, no. We are in the middle of nowhere, and I want to talk to you about provisions, and I want to talk to you about ordering when, no joke, we are in the middle of, there's not a Whole Foods. We're not going to a grocery store and getting meals. The options are Taco Bell, a Sunny Side Up cafe, and the one of the nicer restaurants in town where we went this evening, which is called the Possum Trot. You heard me right? The Possum Trot. And honestly, we had a really great time. I am thoroughly baffled by this town and by the Midwest because they had fried cheese curds, oysters, as well as seared ahi tuna on the menu. I'm a bit thrown off, and I likely will get food poisoning, but you know what? I'm taking it, and we're really enjoying it. We had some hearty laughs with our clients, and they brought us out here, and I actually really love this town. It's full of nice people. People have been so kind and thoughtful, and they want to show us a good time and show us great Midwest hospitality. But wow, it's a small town. A couple things to get into. When we are considering traveling, what do we want to consider with our meals? We want to consider things and meals that are going to stabilize our blood sugar and create nice balance. So if we are off with our food routine, let's say maybe you're traveling into a different time zone, or you know that you're going to go longer periods of time without meals, or you're going to have a lot of little meals throughout the day, whatever it is. What we want to avoid is starting the day off with just carbohydrates or just caffeine and thinking that that'll be good for an intermittent fast. Or we want to avoid not having as balanced of a meal as possible. When I travel, I get so not bloated. I used to get much more bloated, but when you travel, you're dealing with air pressure. You're dealing with stress, less movement, you're sedentary, you're dehydrated. There are more factors that contribute to bloat. And what is going on when you travel is especially when you're flying, digestion essentially is halted and goes through a good amount of stress. We want to ensure that we are not adding another layer of stress to our body by just having a lot of blood sugar crashes with just simple sugars or simple carbs or only caffeine. And we want to add some type of protein / fat to our belly. Let me give you an example. This morning I knew that I was going to eat before we went to go set up at this class. We were going to leave the hotel at 7. We were going to go leave the hotel at 8 a.m., go set up, be ready for a 9 o'clock class. I knew we weren't having lunch until 12, and we weren't doing like a snack thing. It was just going to be straight shot, and I brought a Bomb bar with me. So we were fine there, but I knew it'd be a little bit of time before my next meal. So I knew I was eating lunch or breakfast around 7:30, and I was going to be not eating it again until 12. For me, that's a long time. So I brought a Bomb bar with me, knew I'd have it during the day, but I was like, I don't want to stretch it out. I don't want to wait until I'm starving, but I also don't want to eat it too early and then be hungry before lunch. So I wake up, have my workout, go chug a bunch of water. I do my Organifi Greens packet, which I travel with. And if you want to try it out, you can go to Organifi.com/HTH and use the code HTH, and you'll get 25% off or 20% off. When I go to Italy next week, I will be traveling with the big canister so that I don't have to travel with a bunch of travel packs. And I'm checking a bag so I can travel with the bigger can of it. Anywho, so I did my greens juice, and I actually stole a salt packet from the little cafeteria in the hotel, put it in my water, did some salt, and those are my non-negotiables. We know this. Doing a bit of mineralizing to our bodies in the morning feels really great. 30 minutes later, went down, and it's crazy because if you're staying in a hotel, the breakfast options, if you're doing breakfast there, if it's like continental, we're staying in it's continental. It is, we in a teeny tiny hotel, and we are just lucky that they're serving breakfast. And I was thinking, okay, I'm a little nervous. They're probably just going to have like sugary yogurt and breakfast cereal, which they did. But they also did a bunch of hard-boiled eggs. They had English muffins, and they had different spreads. So I knew that I get congested with dairy products. So I did an English muffin for a bit of fiber. I did probably a tablespoon of peanut butter, and it's not like the healthy peanut butter. It's just freaking Jif. Come on, we're we're just surviving over here. But did a English muffin and then three-ish hard-boiled eggs. So we had protein, fat, and just a little bit of carbohydrates. Had I only done one or two hard-boiled eggs and no peanut butter on the toast, it would not have been quite enough protein to satisfy me, and there wouldn't have been any fat to slow down the processing of the carbohydrates of the English muffin. Likely meaning that I would have been much hungrier, much earlier in the day. What I found was that, and I'm about to be on my period, which means that my metabolism is like I'm bloating, but my body is like requiring a little bit more calories. So I knew where I was in my cycle, and I knew I wanted to consider that. So fats and protein really, really helped out with my satiety today. I felt good. I felt stable. And then we went, it was like a steak restaurant. And it was not a fancy space, but we did what we could. But when you are traveling and your options are extremely limited on the menu, what I did tonight, I was like, okay, I want to feel good after this meal. I don't want to be comatose. I know I have to record a podcast. Often when we're traveling, we come back to our hotel rooms and we have more work that we need to do. And I didn't want to set myself up to make an excuse later on when I got back into the room. So I was like, okay, what are the foods that are going to keep me energized and keep me awake? So I ordered the appetizer of shrimp cocktail, which is just pure protein. And then I ordered 3 sides. I got a side of asparagus, got a side of broccoli, and then there was a side that I split with some people of what else did we get? It was like a fried portobello mushroom situation. I don't know what the details were of that. But I was like, okay, it was just a couple little bits of fried just to indulge myself. It was great. I didn't do alcohol. And then I did protein from the shrimp and then a bunch of greens. And when I tell you that any other time, if I had, on my cycle, if I had any more unhealthy carbs or like fried foods or French fries, if I had any of that more than the couple bites that I did on this phase in my cycle, I would have come home, thought, nope, not recording this tonight. I have no motivation. I'm not dedicated enough tonight. I'm just going to go get some sleep so I can wake up early. But I do find that by getting a solid amount of protein at dinner, when I know that the other options are like dripping in fried food or dripping in fats from a steak or like burgers or alcohol, I didn't want to do that. And was it the sexiest option? No. Were people asking, oh, those are weird options to get together? I don't really give a fuck what you think. I'm sorry to say that. That doesn't sound great. I care how people feel, but I was like, this is what I got to do to sustain. I'm traveling more days of the month than I'm not this month, which again, so grateful. I can be exhausted while still being grateful. Those two things can be true at the same time. But I was like, these are my boundaries. If I know this is not the nicest restaurant, this is not a place where I'm like, oh, I got to indulge in all of the most amazing foods here in Danville, Illinois. It wasn't that kind of night. I was there for the experience. I was there for the people. I was there for the connection, less about the food. While the food was still decent and I got what I needed, this wasn't a time where I was prioritizing like fried food and flavor and experience over how I could feel afterwards. Typically, if I'm traveling, then I'm like, order the pasta, order the whatever. But this is a work trip. It's not in a super destination-y area where it was all about the experience, and it didn't take away from my experience from not ordering like the fried cheese curds. Did I have one? Yes. But either way, those are the things to consider when you are traveling a lot for work. If you know you have to be fresh, or you feel like you're the kind of person that always feels Excuse me, let me grab a little sip of water. If you know you're the kind of person that always feels lethargic after a trip or a work trip, then be preventative. Can you order something that will not cause your blood sugar to spike slightly, maybe less carb in the morning so that you are more satiated? It will inevitably make you desire less caffeine. You will feel like you need less caffeine, which will help you sleep better at night, which will help you to have those healthier, leveled out hunger hormones at the end. I know that seems like a rant, but it's just so relevant right now to what I'm doing in life. And I think that a lot of people that I talk to travel for work, and a lot of people that I talk to have questions about this or concerns, and they feel alone. They feel like they're traveling and they're the only person around in their group that cares about how they feel and about their health and their wellness, when in reality it might just be that you are the catalyst in opening up that conversation. Maybe you order a healthy meal and it inspires other people. Whatever it is. I'm not saying that you have to always order the healthiest thing, but if your goal is, there are ways to hack the food system so that you are feeling energized and good and clear-minded and clear-bodied, especially when you come home from a work trip. That's my tangent for the night. I need to rest. This mama's tired, but I hope you all enjoyed this episode. If you did, head to Apple Podcasts, the little purple app on your phone. Rate us 5 stars. Leave us a voicemail. Hello. Leave us a review if you can. That would mean the world. It is the single most helpful way for people to start finding the podcast naturally when they search for things like health, nutrition, wellness. But auf Wiedersehen. I will talk to you later.
Yeah.